Just be our nanny. You're too dumb for real work. My sister-in-law laughed. So I packed my bag, kissed her kids goodbye, and walked out without a word. Now she's begging the court to undo the damage, but I don't take orders anymore. Hey, before we move on to the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thanks. I was setting down the birthday cake, homemade, from scratch, with the kids' favorite frosting and little fondant dinosaurs I stayed up all night making when Maya said it. Right in front of everyone. God, Rachel, you're hovering again, she said, rolling her eyes as she turned to her friends. She treats this like a full-time job. It's kinda cute. She thinks she's like a real nanny. There was a ripple of laughter from the other moms. I glanced at Matt, my brother, hoping he'd say something, but he just smirked and sipped his drink. I was used to the jabs. Maya always had something to say about my clothes, my job, my lack of ambition. But I'd kept my head down for months, maybe even years, because I thought I was helping. Because the kids adored me. Because I told myself family matters more than pride. But then she leaned in just enough to say, still smiling for the crowd, let's be real. You're too dumb for real work. This is all you're good for. I don't remember blinking. I don't remember anyone speaking up. I just remember the way her voice dipped into that syrupy tone she uses when she's sure she can get away with it. Like she's daring me to react. I looked at the cake. The kids were outside playing, covered in chocolate and sprinkles. My apron was still damp from washing up the dishes I hadn't even used. I nodded. Then I turned and walked inside. I packed my bag in silence. My room, the guest room, the nanny suite, the only place in their house that had any trace of me, was already tidy. I placed the baby monitor on the dresser. I folded the onesies I'd just washed and put them in a basket near the crib. I took the photo the youngest had drawn of Auntie Reiki and folded it into my wallet. And then I walked out the front door. I could hear Maya in the backyard, laughing again. She gets like that sometimes. Sensitive. She'll be back. I didn't even slam the door. I drove away, past the bakery I used to take the kids to on Sunday mornings, past the library where we had story time, past the little playground where I taught the oldest how to swing without being pushed. That night, I turned my phone off. By morning, I had 12 missed calls from Matt, 2 from Maya, and a string of texts that started off confused, then annoyed, then angry. Where the hell are you? You can't just leave. We had plans today. Maya's pissed. This is unacceptable. Your family. I didn't reply. I didn't explain. Because something had snapped. And for the first time in a long time, I realized they needed me far more than I ever needed them. Now Maya's sending voicemails through burner numbers, tearful, then threatening, then back to begging. Matt's looped in our mom, who asked me to be the bigger person, but even she didn't deny Maya said what she said. I'm not taking their calls. I've already spoken to the social worker. The next time we speak will be in court. And this time, they don't get to tell me what I'm good for. You'd never think I was the black sheep growing up. I wasn't a troublemaker. I wasn't lazy. I didn't drop out or run off or cause drama. I was just quiet. A little slower to speak, always watching, always trying to keep the peace. That's what my mom used to call me, the peacekeeper. Not because people listened to me, but because I stayed out of the way. My brother Matt, on the other hand, could set the house on fire and be praised for his passion. If I made straight B's, it was, you should try harder. If he scraped by with AC, it was, well, at least he's doing his best. It was like that forever. He went to college. I didn't. Not because I didn't want to, but because when I got accepted to a local program for early childhood education, my mom said, "Do you really think that's worth the loans?" And when I hesitated, they took that as a no. So I stayed home, took a job at a daycare, then another. Then I helped out when Matt and Maya had their first baby. And then their second. That's how it started. I was just supposed to help for a few weeks after the baby was born. But then Maya said it was too expensive to get a real nanny. And I was already so good with them. And anyway, you're not doing anything else, right? They offered to let me live in the guest room, rent-free, which quickly turned into me doing everything morning to night, diapers, bottles, laundry, bath time, school runs, nap schedules, without a paycheck. They never said it directly, but the implication was always there. I owed them. For the roof over my head. For trusting me with their kids. For the food, even though I bought most of it myself. And stupidly, I convinced myself it was fine. I loved the kids. I still love the kids. They're the only reason I stayed as long as I did. They're sweet and loud and curious, And when I was with them, I felt like I mattered. But Maya never let me forget that I didn't. She didn't say, "Thank you." She said, "You missed a spot." She didn't ask, she ordered. And if I ever pushed back, even gently, she'd smile that tight, cruel smile and say something like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to be here." Matt didn't defend me. Not once. It was like he'd married someone exactly like himself, entitled, condescending, self-serving, and they just fed off each other. And my role in their story? The unpaid extra. There were others who noticed, quietly. My mom, for one. She saw it. I know she did. Once, when she came over and found me juggling both kids while Maya scrolled her phone on the couch, she gave me this look. One of those small, sad, wordless looks. She never said anything to Maya, of course. Just pulled me aside later and whispered, "You should take a break sometime. You do too much." But that was the extent of it. My dad had checked out years ago, and nobody else in the family said anything. They just accepted that Rachel, the babysitter, was always there. That I would show up early, stay late, clean up the messes, and be grateful. And for a while, I was. I didn't have much, and I told myself this was something. A purpose. A place. But Maya's words at that birthday party weren't the first insult. They were just the last straw. The moment I realized I wasn't family to them, I was furniture. And furniture doesn't quit, it gets used until it breaks. Only this time, I got up and walked out first. Looking back, I don't know why it took me so long to see it for what it was. Maybe because it never came all at once. It wasn't one big slap in the face, it was slow. Insidious. Like boiling a frog. They didn't scream at me or hit me. They just erased me, one petty insult at a time. There were the obvious things. I never got a day off. Not once in 14 months. Not even Christmas. Maya said, "The kids need routine." And Matt said, "We trust you more than anyone else." As if that were a compliment, not a leash. Then there were the quiet humiliations. Like when Maya started referring to me as the help in front of her friends. Always with a little laugh, like it was a joke. "Oh, don't mind Rachel, she loves cleaning up after us." I swear, she was born to nanny. Or, God, I don't know what we'd do without our in-house Cinderella. I remember once, during a dinner with their friends, she gestured to me and said, "It's so sweet, really. She's not very academic, but she's got a heart of gold." Like I wasn't even in the room. They borrowed my car constantly and returned it with no gas. They forgot to pay me for groceries I picked up. Maya once asked me if I could just use your card this time. "We're tight this week," and then posted pictures the next day from some fancy sushi place with the caption, "Mommy deserves a night off." She started handing me lists in the mornings, typed lists. Nap times, screen time rules, suggested activities. It was like she wanted me to feel like an employee, even though I wasn't being paid. One night, the baby had a fever. I stayed up with him for hours while Maya took a sleeping pill and Matt went to bed early for a meeting. The next morning, I was exhausted. Maya found me sitting with the toddler watching cartoons and said, "We don't pay you to zone out." I stared at her. "You don't pay me at all," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, don't be dramatic. You live here, don't you?" That line stuck with me. Like basic shelter was the same thing as a salary. But maybe the worst moment came a week before the birthday party. Maya was having her yoga group over and asked me to take the kids out for a few hours so they wouldn't be in the way. I packed snacks, diapers, the double stroller, loaded them into the car, and took them to the park. It was a long, sticky, sweaty afternoon. When we got back, Maya was still in her yoga pants, sipping a green smoothie and laughing with her friends in the backyard. She didn't ask how it went. Didn't say thank you. She glanced at me and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You know, the best thing about having Rachel around is that I don't have to be a mom all the time." There was laughter. Actual laughter. One of the women looked at me, sympathetic. She started to say something, "That's not fair, Maya," or something like that, but Maya cut her off. "Oh, please. Rachel likes it. She doesn't have anything else going on." And just like that, I became the joke. Not the helper. Not the sister. Just the punchline. I kept my face blank. Picked up a stray toy. Walked upstairs to change the baby. But in my head, something cracked. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the baby monitor. The room was silent. The kids were asleep. I could hear Maya laughing through the walls, talking to Matt. "She's lucky we took her in. She'd be working in some sad daycare if it weren't for us." I realized they truly believed it, that I was nothing without them, that they were doing me a favor by letting me serve them. And the scariest part? I'd let them. I'd been so convinced I had nothing else. I stayed and let myself be treated like garbage in exchange for proximity, for crumbs of love, for a child's drawing on the fridge that made me feel human again. I knew then, if I didn't leave soon, I was going to disappear completely. After that night, something in me went silent. Not bitter, not angry, just clear. I stopped trying to defend myself, stopped hoping for a thank you, stopped pretending I didn't hear the things they whispered behind doors left slightly open. I started planning. Quietly. It had begun months earlier, actually back when I first started feeling suffocated but didn't know what to do about it. I'd stumbled across an ad for an online certification program in early childhood development. I clicked, thinking it was just a scam. But it wasn't. It was part of a grant-funded workforce retraining program, and I qualified. So I applied. In secret. Every night, after the kids were asleep and the dishwasher was running, I'd sit at my tiny desk in the guest room and study. Child psychology, nutrition, educational planning, CPR, conflict resolution, even classes on managing difficult parents. How ironic. The irony didn't hit until later, but at the time it just felt like breathing again. I didn't tell Maya or Matt. They would have mocked it, or worse, sabotaged it. I finished the program in record time. Then I updated an old resume, built a new one with my certifications, and quietly started applying for jobs. Nanny agencies, private schools, even live-in international placements. It was slow at first, lots of ghosting, a few interviews that went nowhere. But then I got a call. A couple in another state, wealthier, older, both doctors, were looking for a long-term live-in nanny for their 3-year-old twins. Full benefits, private suite, competitive salary, travel opportunities. And they loved that I had real experience with multiple children and had handled everything alone. We video chatted, then met in person during a trial weekend. I told Maya it was a girls' trip. They made me an offer on the spot. I accepted it the next morning. Start date, 2 weeks from the day of the birthday party. All I had to do was make it to the finish line. But the universe has a twisted sense of humor, because the closer I got to freedom, the worse things got. Maya got nastier. Matt got colder. I think they could sense something was shifting, that they were losing control. At one point, Maya cornered me in the kitchen after I declined to watch the kids so she could go to a Pilates class on her non-scheduled afternoon. Listen, she said, if this is getting too hard for you, just say so. But don't expect us to cater to your burnout. We all have jobs, Rachel. You just happen to live in yours. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something in my face must have unnerved her. She stepped back. What? I just smiled and said, nothing. You're right. That night, I backed up everything to the cloud. Photos of the kids, videos of Maya ranting captured when she didn't realize I was filming with my phone flat on the table, screenshots of her texts. I compiled records of how long I was alone with the children each day, including times when Maya left them for hours without telling me where she was. Even documented the day she left the baby in the tub while answering a FaceTime call. I'd walked in just in time to stop a disaster. And I made one final, quiet call to CPS. Not to report abuse, not yet. Just to ask what the process would be if someone had concerns about a parent's neglect. They told me. I thanked them. And then I waited. 1 week. Then the birthday party happened. And Maya, in all her smug cruelty, gave me the final gift I didn't even know I needed. That sentence, just be our nanny, you're too dumb for real work, was the perfect punctuation mark. Not a slap. Not a scream. Just proof that no matter how much I gave them, they would never see me as anything more than a convenient object. So I left. Not with a bang. With purpose. With certainty. With leverage they hadn't even realized I'd been gathering for months. I didn't slam any doors. I didn't send a dramatic message or write a long goodbye letter. I just walked out of their house with my duffel bag over my shoulder and a folder of neatly organized digital evidence saved in the cloud. No warnings. No scenes. I left the birthday party early, with the kids still laughing in the backyard and frosting smeared on their faces. Maya was too busy showing off to her friends to notice I was gone until hours later, when the baby started crying and there was no one around to change him. I didn't respond to the first 3 texts, or the next 7. I ignored the missed calls and the passive-aggressive voicemails. Hey, you disappeared. Not cool. You seriously just left? What the hell, Rachel? Matt and I are trying to keep things calm, but you're making this difficult. We have plans tomorrow. Can you at least confirm what time you're coming? I deleted them all. The next morning, I moved into a small Airbnb 2 towns over. Quiet place, clean, fully paid for by the deposit my new employers had sent in advance. I woke up to silence. No crying. No dirty diapers. No list of tasks taped to my bedroom door. And for the first time in months, I breathed like my lungs belonged to me. I waited 48 hours before making my next move. Then I logged into the secure CPS tip line and filed the report, detailed, neutral, but brutally honest. Not a revenge fantasy. Not exaggerated. Just facts, supported by timestamped photos, audio clips, and video evidence. Maya left the kids unattended for hours while she day drank on the patio. She skipped feeding schedules. She gave the toddler melatonin to calm her down. She'd leave them with me for days while she lied about having appointments. She called her kids slurs when they cried. She once forgot her son was in the back seat and left him in the car for 20 minutes while she shopped. I had the parking lot video. I didn't say a single bad word about them in the report. I didn't have to. The truth was ugly enough. After submitting the report, I turned off my phone for 2 days. I let myself sleep in. I started packing for the move. I called my new employer to confirm travel dates. They said they couldn't wait to have me. They were flying me out in a week. When I turned my phone back on, I found chaos waiting. Matt's messages had gone from irritated to frantic. Did you talk to CPS? There's a social worker here asking questions. Why would you do this to us? The kids are scared. You're making this worse. We trusted you. Maya didn't even try to pretend. You bitter little rat. You have no idea who you're messing with. You'll come crawling back once you realize how replaceable you are. You're ruining your own family. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Instead, I sent everything, screenshots, files, video backups, to my lawyer. Yes, I had a lawyer. A legal aid group that works with caretakers in financial exploitation situations had taken on my case. They confirmed I'd been financially and emotionally abused and helped me prepare a brief in case Maya or Matt tried anything stupid. And of course, they did. For days later, I got an email from a private account claiming to represent them. The subject line said cease and desist. It was laughable. Allegations of defamation, slander, false reporting. I forwarded it to my lawyer. Her reply was one sentence: let them try. So I did nothing. Because the power was mine now. No screaming. No begging. Just silence. I left their home like a ghost. But not empty-handed. I left with my freedom, my documentation, my new career, and a future they never believed I could build without them. I had been their live-in, full-time servant for over a year. They thought I'd be lost without them. Instead, I left them scrambling, exposed, and completely unprepared for the storm they'd created. The thing about people like Maya and Matt is they don't panic right away. At first, they get angry, righteous, loud. They act like they're still in control because it's all they know how to do. But once the walls start cracking, they don't know how to stop the collapse. They flail. By the time CPS showed up for their second unannounced home visit, Maya had stopped posting photos of her perfect motherhood online. The Facebook mom group she used to dominate with pastel-filtered brunch pics and passive-aggressive advice threads suddenly went quiet. A few of the other moms started asking questions, vague ones at first, then more pointed. Apparently, word had started to spread. A social worker had asked one of them about an incident involving Maya leaving the kids alone in a locked house. That woman, the same one who once looked at me with sympathy during yoga brunch, sent me a DM I never responded to. I didn't know it was that bad. I'm so sorry. If you need anything, I'll back you up. Maya's curated image was cracking. Matt wasn't doing any better. He called me from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Rachel, listen, this has gotten out of hand. Maya's freaking out. The kids are confused. We just need to talk, okay? You don't have to be vindictive. A second voicemail followed, a little more urgent. I don't get why you're doing this. You're not that kind of person. What happened to you? That was the line that made me laugh out loud. What happened to me? Nothing. That was the problem. Nothing had happened for so long that they assumed I'd never fight back. Then came the text from her mother. Honey, I'm not saying what they did was right, but this CPS thing? It's a lot. Can't we just settle this as a family? That was the final nail. Even in the middle of a genuine child welfare investigation, She was still trying to keep the peace, to preserve the image of family. I didn't answer her either. Instead, I forwarded the voicemail transcripts and texts to my lawyer. She was compiling a full timeline, just in case. Then Maya snapped. I got a letter, this one, actually from a real lawyer, threatening legal action for emotional distress and false accusations. They claimed the CPS report was malicious and that I was trying to retaliate after leaving my unpaid position. Unpaid. They actually wrote that. Like it helped their case. My lawyer drafted a response that included every documented instance of neglect, screenshots of Maya calling me too dumb for real work, proof of the 14-hour days I worked without compensation, and a summary of labor code violations they didn't even realize they were breaking. Then she added one sentence to the end of the letter. We are happy to escalate this if needed, but we suspect your clients have more to lose. After that, it went quiet. Not because they'd given up. No, Maya would never go down with grace. But because they were scared of the legal system, of CPS, of losing custody, of being seen for who they actually were, not who they pretended to be. The last message I received from Maya was a photo of the kids. They were sitting on the floor with their toys, messy and half-dressed. The caption said, "They miss you. I hope you're happy." That was her version of an apology, using the kids like bait, like a guilt trip. It almost worked. I stared at that photo for a long time. My chest ached. I did miss them. I wondered if they were scared, if they asked about me, if they even understood why I was gone. But I didn't reply, because I had finally learned the difference between love and leverage. They loved the version of me that stayed quiet, obedient, and grateful for nothing. This version, the one with boundaries and a voice and a future, they didn't want her. Not really. Now they were facing the full weight of everything they'd ignored. Matt had to take time off work for CPS interviews. Maya's social accounts were scrubbed clean. The PDA politely removed her from 2 upcoming events. The mommy group blocked her after a few too many unhinged posts. She tried to explain, tried to shift the blame, but no one was buying it. It was over. They just didn't know it yet. The last time I saw them was in court. Not because I was suing them. I didn't need to. But Maya, in one last flailing attempt to control the narrative, filed a motion claiming I had damaged her reputation and inflicted emotional trauma by reporting her to CPS. My lawyer advised we show up, just in case it moved forward. She wasn't worried. I wasn't either. The courtroom was small, cold, the kind of place where fluorescent lights buzz and the chairs feel like punishment. Maya was dressed like a character, pearls, neat cardigan, holding a trembling tissue like she was the one who had been victimized. Matt sat beside her, stiff, silent, eyes glued to the floor. I didn't dress up. I didn't need to. When the judge reviewed the packet of documents my lawyer submitted, he didn't even ask me a single question. Just skimmed, frowned, then looked up at Maya's lawyer. There's no basis for these claims. This is dismissed. And just like that, it was over. I stood to leave, already turning toward the door when Maya snapped. She shot out of her chair and hissed, just loud enough for me to hear, "You ruined my life. I needed you." I turned to look at her, really looked at her. And in that moment, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt done, not bitter, not victorious, just clean. So I told her the truth, quietly, calmly. You didn't need me. You needed someone to abuse. And I walked away. The kids weren't there. I was glad. They didn't deserve to see any of this. I hope they're okay. I hope someday, when they're older, they understand. Not why I left, but why I had to. I got in the car with my lawyer. We didn't say much. I just stared out the window, the courthouse shrinking behind me, and felt the smallest flicker of peace. That was 4 weeks ago. Now, I live in a different state. I wake up every morning in a bright apartment above a garden, where the twins I care for squeal with joy when I walk into the room. Their parents thank me. They ask how I'm doing. They tell people I'm part of the family, and they mean it. Next month, we're flying to Paris for a 2-week vacation. My passport's ready. So is my heart. Maya still tries to contact me. She's emailed from fake accounts, left anonymous voicemails pretending to be other people. Once, she even sent flowers with a note that said, "Let's put the past behind us." The kids miss their aunt. I didn't respond. Because I finally understand something she never will. Silence isn't weakness. It's power. And now, I sleep through the night. Every night. And I don't wake up feeling owned. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button.